Today, we are gonna try to fix up, de-jankify the new 180SX. So I got this thing in a trade for my LSFC. I've wanted another one of these, another S chassis for a long time. That's why I just couldn't pass this deal up. There's just no other car that gives me the emotional response that an S chassis does. There's just nothing. And it's just part of how crappy they are. But that's just what makes us love them. It's just the nostalgia of growing up with 240s and, you know, starting drifting and having one and daily driving my drift car. So, I don't know, it brings back a lot of memories. Always want another one. We have one, and I'm just excited to drive the dang thing. So I want to get it fixed up, de-jankified, fix all the major issues we have so we can get it on the road, get it running and driving, start enjoying it. So the first and biggest issue is this water outlet. So as you can see, there ain't no bolts there. So the bolts are broken off there. They tried to silicone it. It leaks like crazy. It's not a slight leak. You put water in, it just dumps it right back out there. So the only way we can drive it is with no coolant in it. So we've got to fix that. Now, luckily, my buddies, Raldo and Josue, and Chris, have a parts business, Rice and Beans Parts, and they literally have a couple of these in stock. The piece that this bolts to, that then bolts to the block. So we can just replace this whole thing, not have to deal with trying to drill bolts out, and get it patched up, and then have a cooling system that holds coolant. So that'll be great. We have to take the intake manifold off to do that, got to get the AC working. We got a few things to go through on this car to try to get her road legal, road ready, like that, you know, just some stuff. So, but before we get into that, and the reason the Safiro is on the lift here, I want to play musical wheels. So this car has Work Emotions. I've always loved these wheels. I've always wanted a set. I toyed around with getting a set of these or a set of 3-piece wheels for this car, but I landed on 3-piece wheels because it's just that kind of car. I've always wanted a car I could run big lip 3-piece wheels on. So I love it. But now that we have this car here, I kind of want to try to do some mixing and matching and just see. I think these wheels will fit on that car with a bigger tire and no camber. We can take the fronts, put them back here with the spacer we normally would run on this car with no camber. Boom. Get rid of the camber in the rear, and then basically have the works on the front of both cars. Now, it's silly, it's mismatched, but the ratty 240 kid in me, deep down, that's still down there hanging out, he likes it. So I want to try it. I want to try it at least. I'm curious to see how these fit. So yeah, a lot of jibber jabber. Let's get into it. Let's start switching wheels around. Swapping wheels is so fun because it's easy and makes a huge difference. All right, first off, let's see how the front fits on the back here. Oh, we're definitely going to need to run a spacer for the back. Oh, maybe not. Well, maybe not without camber. Yeah, probably without camber. We need a spacer. Oh, maybe not. Might be too aggressive with the spacer. Not aggressive enough without it. Because even with the camber, that's almost poking. We'll leave the alignment alone, try it, see what it all looks like. So now we gotta get the wheels off that car, put them on the front of this car, swap her. All right, I went ahead and threw the front spacers on here that I had. Oh, we're still sunk though. We'd have to like double spacer it. I'm gonna leave the spacer on for now, because I don't know what the offset this car needs. Oh, it needs no spacer for sure. We'll leave it. It seems like no spacer would be perfect with a bigger tire. Oh man, that looks gangster as hell on this car though. Dang. So no cambered fits with the stretch, but we could pull that spacer off and run like a 265. Oh man, that looks good on this car. Decisions. All right, let's drop the Safiro down. Harder to see since it's on the lift. over on that side. I gotta pull it out and look at it. All right, side one. Keep in mind we would be mounting some smaller tires on these. That's kind of what's killing it for me right now is the tires are huge on the front. And the bronze on this color, it's not a great pair of colors, but we get to pull the camber out and we make that car look way more gangster, not have 4 miles sunken in wheels on it. This is tough, man. I'm really struggling. But the chrome on this car is so good because it's got all the chrome trim, chrome handles, chrome wheels. Well, I gotta think on this one. All right, well, it's been a couple weeks, kind of put this thing on the back burner, and now we have a little bit of time to dive into it, try to get it sorted enough to put it on the road and start driving it before we dive back into the next major project. So we've got the parts we need to tackle the biggest problem of that coolant leak. We can't drive it without coolant in it. There's actually a lot to do. We're gonna take it one step at a time. So we stopped by Rice and Beans Parts. We got a fuel rail. We got a stock pressure regulator. Has an aftermarket one on now that's like very jankily RTV'd on there. And the main thing is a new thermostat housing. Pull that whole one off like this with these 2 bolts. Bolt this one on and move on with our lives. So to do that, we got to get down here in the depths. So probably got to pull the intake manifold off. So what I want to do is go ahead and put this thing on the lift, take a look under it, which is probably going to be a little scary, and then we'll start diving into just pulling her apart. All right, well, first time looking under it, and it's about as bad as I would have expected. Typical S chassis things, man. So 1, oil pan. Someone tried to jack the car up, presumably from the oil pan, crushed the oil pan, which means it's probably crushed against the pickup tube, which is not good. Hopefully the pickup tube didn't get cracked, because then we're not gonna have any oil pressure. Gotta sort that out. We've got at least a power steering leak, maybe also an oil leak, kind of hard to tell. We'll have to dig into that. Tension rod bracket cracked most of the way down. It's got the Hikis pump still for the rear steer, but all that's been deleted and the pump's just dangling here. Speed sensor tab is broken, so it's just been zip tied in. Mismatched bolts on the trans mount. The exhaust is atrocious, dude. Atrocious. It's so funny because you look at it from the outside, polished tips, slant cut. From the outside, this looks like a really nice exhaust. Then you get under here and this thing's hanging down like 7 feet lower than it should. I mean, you can see it's been scraped all to hell, all the way down. Like, why would you build an exhaust this low? Yeah, there's so much. I mean, this is the cutout for the exhaust in the sway bar. Not the cutout, but it's molded around where the exhaust goes. And we're not even, the bar could be straight. It's so bad. So bad. We compare that to the exhaust I built for the Zafiro. You can see we're about halfway down the diff. Wow, it makes me it makes me feel better about my exhaust. You see something like that. Now look at this thing. So yeah, that is something, I hate scrapey low exhaust, so I'm definitely gonna have to redo that. There's obviously a lot that needs to be done to this car. Oh, my favorite. When you can't weld aluminum, but you need to mount your intercooler. Weld some steel and just shove it through the fins? What? This is, if you buy not stock S chassis, be prepared for this. This is, all of them that I've experienced are like this. It's just one of those things. So anyway, part of me obviously wants to tear the whole dang car down, rebuild the whole thing, fix every last little thing, but that's not the point of this car, at least not right now. What we're trying to do is just sort out the stuff that has to be sorted out and just enjoy it for a little bit and then see where it goes. We can't waste too much time on this thing just yet. Can't go down the rabbit hole. So we're gonna quit jibber jabbering and looking at all the other things we need to fix and just start hammering them out. So drop the car down and start diving into replacing that thermostat housing. I'm gonna take this hood off. Definitely some sort of hose holding it, I think. It's this lower bracket, I think. So an interesting thing about working on this car, I can tell you, I highly doubt the engine's ever been out of this car because all the stock stuff is still there. All of where the wires clip in, all of the annoying brackets. Most people, at least someone who worked on this car and did the things that are done to this car, would not have put those brackets back. I don't even want to put those brackets back.
Especially not intake.
Oh, we got one more coolant hose. Well, that was fun.
Oh.
All right, got the intake manifold off. Definitely a struggle for what it is. This is way harder than it needs to be. So you've got two hoses here. Those go to the idle air control valve. Two hoses here. These go to the throttle body. So this is all coolant. So we had to cut these two. They just were pretty much frozen on there. The clamps didn't want to come off. I'm probably going to loop these just because we don't really need it. I think it's mostly there to warm the car up. Then at least pulling the intake off won't require disconnecting so many hoses. It'll make that process a little bit easier. But these need to be replaced too. These back ones look like they've already been replaced, which is good because those are like gonna be virtually impossible to get out with the engine in the car. Just this project, doing it like this, just takes me back to my roots, being 18, working in a driveway. So this is what we need to replace. So we gotta unbolt this whole housing. That's a crusty hose. Crusty crab.
You can reuse that. What are you doing? Did you drain the coolant?
No, it already drained itself from this thing. You can see that's the problem right there. Look at that huge gap. Thing wasn't doing nothing. This thing definitely wasn't coming off, that's for sure. It's double RTV'd. It's got some blue stuff on the inside. Got a fresh stock regulator from old rice and beans parts. Oh, so satisfying to get rid of that jankiness. I flushed the rail out. Oh, don't flip over. Cleaned all the RTV out. All right, we've got what should work as a replacement for that hose, and then we've got a roll of hose to loop these lines. So that's gonna loop to that, and then this guy is gonna loop to this guy. If we really wanted to simplify it, we'd delete all this, but then we lose the heater core, and I want this car to be a good street car where we have heat in the winter. Especially since this car's already got AC and all the HVAC stuff. We are not deleting any of that. We're gonna deal with the headaches of all these hoses if we have to. So anyway, I'm gonna get to pulling the rest of these hoses off, getting them looped, and then we can start tossing the intake back on and put it all back together, fill it with coolant, see what happens. We also are gonna have to address this ASAP. Again, this is like one 16 gauge wire feeding two fans. we'll probably end up pulling the motor out of this thing and giving it a proper refresh, restore, whatever you want to call it. But for now, I'm just trying to spruce her up a little bit. Alright, all of our hoses that we're going to replace for now are replaced. Looped, looped, new. So I think we're ready to put the intake back on. Whew. All right, intake's back on. We need to do a little replumbing here. So we put the stock regulator back on. We gotta take this adjustable one off, run a new line from the return up to here. And now we can trim this line down. All right, moment of truth. Water just pour right back out. I was pretty low on silicone when I siliconed the thermostat housing on, so I'm hoping it's all good. It's not pouring out yet, so I guess I'll go ahead and put the charge pipe back on and then go from there. I'll put a bolt in this freaking air cooler. Alright, now at least the air cooler is not flopping around. One fun thing about getting a car like this, it's like so many little very easy things are super satisfying. Alright, I think we're good so far. So yeah, I guess we'll start it up, let it get to operating temp so the thermostat opens, and then bleed the cooling system out. Then we can try to take it for a real drive. I might have to, I say that, but I might rewire these fans real quick. These are gonna burn something out. All right, well, this thing's back on the ground. It doesn't appear to be leaking any water. Oh, I meant that's what I forgot to do. I knew there's something. I want to zip tie that up before we go drive it. So this thing definitely still needs a little bit, a lot of bit of work. But I want to go drive it. Last time I drove it, I knew it had no coolant in it, and I was watching the temp gauge climb like drastically. So I want to just take it for a quick little spin. Not worried about the fact that it doesn't have any water in it. So let's do it. Wish I could get this freaking window to roll down. Downpipe gasket, the bolts are loose. One's missing. We got a major exhaust leak. Okay. No seatbelt, can't get the window to roll down. So we're not a whole lot better than the first drive. But at least it's got water in it. It seems to run better now. Oh yeah, and it was just low on power steering fluid. Cool. I sit so high in this thing. Let me try to take this cushion out. All right, that's a little more reasonable. I get for being lazy and not rewiring those fans like I said I should. That's why you don't cut corners, people. All right, well, we're gonna do a quick and dirty how to wire a relay. It's funny because people will see some messy wiring and be like, that's a fire hazard. No, this is a fire hazard. This is what a fire hazard looks like. All right, so we're gonna do this just to get us going. Everyone wonders, they see me not use crimpers. This is why I don't use crimpers. This is exactly why I don't use crimpers for these insulated terminals. They just don't freaking work half the time. Just crimped it with lineman's pliers. She's not coming off. Alright, so this is fully temporary. I'm planning on relocating the battery back to the front. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on how much effort I want to put in, but we got to get rid of this. We got to at least do a terminal bar. This is just a power wire from the battery, speaker amp wire at that, bolted to the power wire down to the starter. Not ideal. And this is not the first 240 I've seen like this. Let me just tell you that much. But anyway, this was just open when I got the car. Just a bolted together power terminal sitting by an intercooler, nothing around it. So we've got power coming directly off this into our relay. So this is essentially straight from the battery into the relay. That power is going to then go out and go to the fans. Now, our wire that was powering the fans, which I don't even know what this goes to, but it's something that's on ignition, is now just going to turn the relay on. So when that wire sees 12 volts, the relay will click over and then the power will come straight from this battery cable straight to the fans. Now, again, this is super jank, quick and dirty. But now we have a relay for our fans. Now, I normally run a relay per fan, but these slim fans, they just don't pull that much amperage. So it's got a relay now that'll power the fans versus, again, them being powered with tiny little wire off of presumably the ignition switch powering 2 fans. Don't do this at home, kids. Let's try this again. I keep going to put my seatbelt on. Kid saying it was leaning out up top, and I think he changed the fuel pressure regulator to try to fix that. Holy crap. Can't breathe. This thing drives really good though. Smooth. It's just all the jankiness doesn't help anything. I mean, it's so smooth. I'm so used to the Zafira. It rattles like crazy, and that's the street car, the nice car that a bunch of time and effort has been put into. It did lean out up top. It did indeed. So sketchy, the hood doesn't fully latch. Feels like I'm a teenager again, that's for dang sure. Yeah, no, it's wanting to lean out hard. It doesn't lean out if you quarter throttle it. It's a ripper though, dude. This thing's peppy as hell. Stock gauge doesn't show we're overheating. That's good. At least we got that issue sorted. Trans grinds a little. Every time I drive this car, man, just puts a smile on my face. We got exhaust pouring in here because we got a giant exhaust leak. Can't roll this window down. cleaning out up top. We got some things to work on. I don't know why it only leans out at wide open throttle. That's weird. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably just that massive exhaust leak. It's probably not even leaning out. Just once the exhaust volume gets that high, it starts sucking in more fresh air. I mean, it's a stock turbo, stock tune, stock injectors. I bet you that's what it is. Because I mean, it sounds like I'm open downpipe right now. Take a gander at everything now that she's been used and abused a little. Well, she's far from perfect. I want to see if the rear lights work. Oh, it worked. But I mean, I'd say that's a pretty big improvement. See, it idles up, but yeah, the compressor doesn't do anything. But you can hear the leak. It might not be great either. It's reading full lean right now. All right, well, like I said, still a whole lot of work to be done to get this car up to par. I don't want to go too crazy to get it on the road. I just want to do what's needed, get the AC working, sort out the main issues, and just start driving it and enjoying it. I mean, like I said, this thing takes me back to high school, and part of that is the jankiness. Like, there's some things we have to tackle, don't get me wrong, but I'm fighting the urge to pull it completely apart and, like, restore it right now. We have too many other projects, like big full-on builds to handle. We don't have time for that right now, but we'll take some more time, get this thing sorted enough to start driving it and enjoying it, and then see where it goes from there. But for now, I think we're out of time. Got it running and driving, got to enjoy it some. That's good enough for me. So I'm gonna quit jibber jabbering. I'm gonna let you guys get to work on your own projects, and I'll see you next time. So yeah, for now, that's it. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.